release of Thor Ragnarok, we are now 17 movies into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that means it's time to stop and rank every single one of them from the worst to the best, and today I'm going to do that in under 10 minutes. Now, before I get started, be sure to put your ranking down below in the comment section. Tell me why you love them, why you hate them, what you think about this new shorter format. Let's get a lively discussion going on, and with that said, let's get started. Coming in at number 17 is going to be Thor: The Dark World. For me, this is easily the least interesting and most drab film in the MCU. Likewise, the tone is wildly inconsistent. It starts off as this Lord of the Rings kind of backstory. It transitions to a fish out of water comedy on Earth, and then it ends up as this wacky sibling and bickering, bantering adventure. Everything that I potentially like in this movie is done better in a different film. Number 16 is going to be Iron Man 2. It tries to outdo the first movie by upping the plot, by having a revenge plot, a jealousy plot, a daddy issue plot, a government plot, an Avengers setup plot, and none of these are inherently bad ideas, just the mix of all of them doesn't quite work out. Now, there's some cool set pieces, but the end result is a mess. Coming in at number 15 is going to be The Incredible Hulk. This film feels a little bit like the black sheep of the MCU, as it was made with Universal Pictures and for the most part lacks that MCU tone. In general, the film feels fairly small scale in the sense of the story's ambitions and what it's trying to do. The movie aimed to be a single, and it got on base. There's nothing here that I really love, but there's also not much here that I hate. Coming in at number 14 is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The movie had me cracking up from beginning to end, and some of the character moments in this movie are wonderful. The problem is the movie has kind of a mean streak running throughout, whether that's the torture sequence, the execution, the making fun of Mantis, or all of Star-Lord's arc. And the two main plot lines in this movie are some of my least favorite in the entire MCU. And while the highs of this movie are really high, the lows are really low for me. And so as much as it breaks my heart to do it, I gotta put Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 at number 14. Coming in at number 13 is going to be Thor. The cast is charming and wonderful. I love the grandeur and scope of the stuff on Asgard. I love the comedy, the fish out of water stuff when we get to Earth. It's all very charming. But the specific story itself feels very small scale considering we're talking about Thor, the god of thunder, exiled by Odin to Earth. The mix just kind of feels off on it. Coming in at number 12 is going to be Iron Man 3. Now, your ability to enjoy this movie seems to depend on how much you enjoy the work of Shane Black and your ability to forgive the treatment of the Mandarin in the movie. Now, for the most part, I enjoyed this movie. It's fun. It's got some great, well-directed action sequences in several different sorts of ways. You got some character moments with Tony Stark and this boy that I thought worked great. But with all that said, it feels a lot more like a Shane Black, Tony Stark movie than an MCU Iron Man movie. Coming in at number 11 is going to be The Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, this movie has some great and iconic action sequences. I love the central idea of Ultron's origin, and all throughout the movie, there's these great little character moments, but with so many characters and plot lines and setup and gags and jokes, the final product isn't quite as strong as the individual plots, parts, or ideas, and the end result is a blast, but kind of a mess. Coming in at number 10 is going to be Patreon. Hey, that's not a movie. No, this is a shameless plug. If you like this video, the number one thing you can do to support this channel is head on over to my Patreon page. Now, if you don't know what Patreon, essentially it's a website where you can directly support this channel. And if you do that, you gain access to exclusive reviews, ranking videos, other content, input into my future videos, kind of a glimpse of what's coming up ahead, behind the scenes stuff. If you want to support the channel, if you like what I'm doing, please consider heading on over there. Now let's get back to Marvel. Coming in at number 10 is going to be Doctor Strange. This is a movie I thoroughly enjoyed when I saw it in the theater, but it's not a movie I've wanted to rewatch. Now, I love the visualization of the magic. The cast is great, fun, charming, as always. Rachel McAdams is in this one. I love Rachel McAdams. But by holding so close to that MCU origin story template with the weak villain all crammed full of jokes, it just feels a little bit routine routine and familiar. Coming in at number 9 is going to be Captain America: The First Avenger. I absolutely loved the first hour of this movie, but as soon as Steve rescues the POWs, this movie decides to go ahead and montage through, what's that thing called? Oh yeah, World War II. It feels like this movie was 2 or 3 different movies worth of Captain America crammed together, unfortunately. Coming in at number 9 is going to be Ant-Man. It's not trying to be the greatest or the best movie in the franchise. It's just trying to deliver a very solid film, and that is exactly what this movie does. It has a unique story in a unique genre as kind of this heist movie. I love that it has Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas. All in all, this is just a solid entry in the MCU and a funny movie. Coming in at number 7 is going to be Spider-Man: Homecoming. So much more so than any previous Spider-Man movie, Tom Holland's Spider-Man feels like a high schooler with high school problems with high school friends, and they interact like actual high schoolers, immaturity and all. And I love that Michael Keaton's Vulture is essentially kind of like the Walter White of the MCU, just some guy that decides to break bad. Now, the movie has stakes, but they're personal stakes. There's smaller stakes that fit this movie in this setting with a high school Spider-Man. It feels right. Coming in at number 6 is going to be Captain America: Civil War. Now, with this many characters coming together to clash, it almost guaranteed that this movie was going to make it into the top 10. But really what makes this movie so good is that the central conflict of the movie boils down to 2 good guys with 2 different perspectives clashing about an idea. This movie kind of has some of my favorite pure drama of the MCU. Coming in at number 5 is going to be Captain America: The Winter Soldier. You got complex characters, you got some of the best action of the MCU, and you have MCU altering stakes going on, and all of this happening in a comic book movie that's inspired by political thrillers. It makes for a great story, a unique experience that just kind of brings you in from the beginning and draws you all the way to the end in a very, very cool movie. Coming in at number 4 is going to be Thor: Ragnarok. Now, this is a movie that just oozes fun from beginning to end. Whether the soundtrack, the color scheme, the amazing distinct characters played by amazing actors, to the humor, it's all so much fun. And the story itself is fairly straightforward, and that means all the characters kind of get moments to stand out in their own little character arcs. The Thor franchise, very much so, is the winner of the award for the most improved player. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. Like most people, I'd never heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy before they announced this movie, and I kind of thought Marvel had lost their minds. And then I went to go see it, and it was just one of the freshest, most fun theatrical experiences I have ever had. And to me, this might be the most quotable of the movies in the MCU. Coming in at number 2 is going to be Iron Man. Now, this movie is one of the biggest surprises of all time. Jon Favreau finally cracked that code of how to do fun comic book movies that didn't come off as campy, and then just the merger of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, as Iron Man, is just perfect casting. It feels so small scale compared to where the movies are like now with these epic galactic things. And that's kind of what makes the movie work, is that it's such a pure, simple, direct story that's just fun from beginning to end, but at the same time, set the framework for this entire MCU. But coming in at number 1 is The Avengers. As obvious as this movie seems looking backwards, there was nothing safe about this project, and Joss Whedon was certainly not an obvious pick for the movie. But the end result that he delivered is just that dream come true for every single comic book reader of all time. He manages to merge all of these characters from these different genres into a single movie, and somehow they all get their moment to shine. They all get an iconic moment, a great quote, and it comes together so wonderfully. And when it comes to just pure entertainment, childhood dreams coming true, it is hard to beat The Avengers. So there you have it. That is my ranking of all 17 movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if you're new to my channel, be sure to click that subscribe button. I do movie reviews, TV reviews, ranking videos. Hey, like the one that you're watching right now. But the big thing is I don't want to just talk about movies. I want to talk about movies with you. So join me in the comment section. Let's get a lively discussion going on. And thank you so much for watching.